Okay, so let me just not let me spotlight myself. Okay, so we're going to do some restorative practice for kind of making the best out of a really warm day. So we'll start off just with our basic relaxation pose. Have the blocks, the bolster underneath your knees, the blocks underneath the backs of your feet, and then have your blanket just folded up. You can put an extra layer of, like a towel or whatever on top of your mat if you want to, but it's quite warm and I think that might make it even worse. So I'm going to do it without that additional padding. So have a blanket nicely folded for your head, and then just bring yourself down onto the floor and just bring the blanket into your shoulders, and then just allow yourself just the luxury to just release into the floor. So as you just sit or lay back, just feel how the floor just supports you. How laying on the floor just brings a sudden sense of ease. And when the weather is warm and our energy is depleted, then it's nice to just have some time with a gentle practice. So just allow yourself to just release into the floor. Adjust yourself if you feel that you need to adjust blocks or the bolster or the blanket. Just feel that you can just rest down into the floor. Just focus on the in-breath. Focus on the out-breath, allowing yourself to release into the floor a little more each time. The in-breath brings in energy, and the out-breath just allows you to release down into the floor. Consciously soften your jaw and your tongue. Soften your throat. Just listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Observe how the chest raises and expands upward and outward with the in-breath, synchronizing consciously with that action. And how the chest lowers gently and the lower ribs gently contract with the out-breath. Just allow yourself to just release into the floor. Feel how the skin makes contact with the floor and with the bolster and with the blocks and with the blanket. jaw soft, tongue soft, the throat soft, facial muscles soft. So feel the skin around the face, feel the muscles around the face, and wear a neutral expression. Allow your facial muscles to release. Just a little bit at a time, just use your out breath and just slightly elongate the out breath so that you release into the floor just a little bit more each time you exhale. Releasing tension around the forehead and the eyes. Allowing yourself to soften into the floor. Draw your attention to the soles of your feet. Consciously release the soles of your feet. Just softening the skin around your feet. Allowing the soles of the feet to relax. Draw your attention to the tops of your feet, as though you're smoothing clay over the bone. In the middle of the foot, out to the sides of the foot. Just soften the skin, the flesh and the muscle, so that you completely release tension from your feet. Draw your attention to your shins. And then from the center of the shin blade, so you're smoothing clay. Just allow the muscle and the skin either side of the shin to rest down towards the floor. draw your attention to your thighs, and then just allow the skin of the thighs to soften. And just as though you're smoothing clay from the center line of the shin, from the thigh, sorry, just releasing the skin and muscle and the flesh down to the floor. Just using this opportunity to consciously still the mind. Consciously allow your entire body to just completely release into the floor. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wiggle your toes With your fingers, bring yourself back into this sort of supported reclining pose. And then just bend your knees, pull your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock side to side. And then just roll onto your side and then sit yourself up. So when your energy is lower than usual because of heat, it's good to open up the chest region. So fold out your blanket, so it's kind of a long kind of fold like that, and then fold it down the middle, so you've got a narrow blanket, and then fold it down the middle again, so you've got kind of a big kind of cushion. So you could use one of these get hold of it, one of these oblong bolsters if you want for this instead. So we're just going to do our side supported bend, and then we're going to do kind of an open twist. So you come down onto your side. Let me move that out of the way. You come down onto your side, put the bolster underneath your armpit chest, have a block for your head. So have your legs nice and bent. You can either keep your arms, your top arm just resting on the side, or you could extend the arm over. If it's uncomfortable to have that arm there, you can always put a block underneath you. So just have a lift for underneath your armpit chest. So I'm going to use this bolster. So it's nice for this pose. So as you come over, you stretch across, keep the shoulder that's on the floor, make sure that rests on the floor. And then rest the top arm over your head. So this pose brings evenness to the breath, even though one side of the body feels kind of less stretched out than the other. Good opening of the upper facing ribs. Close your eyes. Just use the floor and the bolster and the block just to help you to completely release into the pose. Just breathing evenly into both lungs. Trying to make the in-breath and the out-breath even in duration. So that Samavriti pranayama approach. So the in-breath is the same length as the out-breath. As you stay and just rest into the floor, just gradually we begin to feel how our energy begins to open up. Okay, just when you're ready, bring that top arm back to just rest on your side for a moment. And then just push yourself up onto the side and then up into a seated position. And then just come over onto your other side, just sitting on the hip, lengthening out with that side, with those side ribs as you bring the other side down, making sure that the shoulder makes contact with the floor, the hand is out in a kind of a right angle, and then either resting that top hand on the hip or extending and just resting that hand over your head, so that the top arm just kind of sits over the ear. Just resting that top arm, trying not to hold any tension. So remember, the important feature of this practice is comfort. So we work just to find comfort within the pose. Okay, release that top arm. That's the side of the body. And just roll onto your front, onto your elbows, and then just sit yourself up. So I'm going to give you an alternative. So Charlotte, you've got to go in a couple of minutes. So we're not going to, so I want you to just come down onto your back, and rather than do the next pose, just come down onto your back. Just let your legs stretch out and just come down into the heart pose. You won't have time to do both sides. If you're sticking with us, then we start off in the same way. So the legs are kind of bent to the kind of face side, if you like. Your shoulders are going to come down onto the floor, and then both hands are together to start off with. So you've still got that lift underneath your chest, and then you just bring the top arm out and just rest it kind of in the air behind you. So it's like a kind of a cactus. So the arms are at right angles. So the legs stay where they are. It's just a gentle open twist. So if it's uncomfortable to let that arm just float in the air, you can put a block or just like a little seat or something underneath that hand just to support it. But it feels really nice just to let the chest really open, using gravity to just open up the front of the armpit region. So just focusing on in breaths and out breaths. Working for even in breaths and even out breaths. Just feeling how the front chest is opening up using gravity. Then just gently bring the hand back over so that the two hands are kind of resting, the elbows are close together. And then just push yourself up into a seated position. If you did the side twist, and then just come over back onto the other side. So keeping the bolster stretching along the armpit chest as you bring the arms down. Just rest two hands against each other. Just make sure you've got support for your head. Letting the knees just rest as they are. and then just bring the top hand over and out so that it really opens up the front chest. The arms are in a right angle, resembling a cactus plant a little bit. Again, if it's uncomfortable to have the hand kind of just hovering in the air, and put some blocks underneath the hands just so it's supporting the hand. You don't want to overdo it. So as you stay, you start to feel your energy just kind of rising up. Just a feeling of lightness on the inside. Just gently bring that arm back over to the side. Just rest down on your side for a moment or two. Push yourself up into a seated position. Then turn your bolster around. So get your bolster, have your bolster kind of long ways like this. And then just continuing with this open chest. We're just going to keep our legs straight. We're going to come down along the bolster, just resting the head. Now, if it feels like your head rolls back, then just have your blanket, give yourself a little pillow for your head, so that the head feels like it's not rolling back. If it feels uncomfortable in your back, just sit up, shuffle away a little bit from the bolster, and then really lift and open the chest as you come down. Just let the feet fall apart, let the hands rest down onto the floor. The elbows are touching the floor. Just allow yourself just to release down into the floor. Closing your eyes, of course, and focusing on the breath. Consciously softening the jaw and the tongue and the throat. So again, just referring yourself back into this pose, feeling how the body makes contact with the floor and with the bolster and with the blanket. Just using this pose to release into the floor with a really good open chest. So open-chested poses and sequences really work to promote positive thinking. They also connect us with our energy. Resting into the floor. Allowing yourself to allow the body to become heavy, to differentiate the heaviness of the body from the lightness of your energy. Filling the lungs completely to the tips of the bronchial tubes. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. Just feeling the openness of the chest brings lightness into the chest, into the head, into the limbs. Okay, in a moment, we're going to just bring ourselves out of this pose. So already, just bend your knees, hands into the lower ribs, and then just gently just roll off onto your side and then just sit yourself up. So we're going to finish off with a gentle inversion. We're going to keep our bolster and you're going to use a wall or something that you can just stretch your legs up. So I'm just going to use this. So you've got your bolster close by. You're going to sit on the bolster and then just roll yourself over so the seat bones are still on the bolster. And then you just let your legs stretch up the wall just nice and gently. And then just rest your arms over your head. So you just have the bolster underneath you. You can just adjust a few times so that feels comfortable. If the bolster feels too high, you can just do this without anything underneath the seat bones, just stretching the legs up the wall from sitting. So just resting your arms over your head, resting the legs up the wall. So a gentle inversion. Again, focusing on your breath, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. At any stage, this pose makes your head feel like there's lots of pressure building up around the temples or around the eyes or around the ears. Then just come back down and go back into the previous pose. Okay, and then you're just going to bend your knees, just bring your hands back to the sides of the ribs, and then just roll yourself off the bolster and back into a seated position. And then we're just going to finish off in the way that we began. So our basic relaxation pose. So bolster underneath your knees, some blocks underneath your feet, and then a blanket for underneath your head. And just allow yourself just to reacquaint with the floor. Just allowing your body to become heavy and to observe the lightness of your energy rising from the floor up to the uppermost skin. Just allowing yourself to just release into the floor, giving yourself permission to relax for a few minutes longer. Just observing how this gentle practice really does transform our energy, bringing lightness to the body and to the mind. This good, positive energy that flows throughout the body from the top of the head down to the tips of the toes, to the tips of the fingers. Bringing lightness where there was previously heaviness. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, just bring yourself back into this pose. Bend your knees, just pull your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side. Just grounding yourself with a little gentle massage on the spine. And then just gently roll over onto your side. Stretch out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just find a comfortable cross-legged position with the hands in Namaste, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into your abdominal region. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice, that clean, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the gentle practice and the sequence of poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. and then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then just gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. As you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel nice and lively, or at least kind of calm and chilled, and you should sleep really well later on as well. So thank you very much.